Hailing from the Jersey Shore and raised as athletes, the Airey Bros have always shared a passion for physical culture, athletic performance, and human optimization, always striving to be the strongest versions of themselves, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Along the way, they've met some pretty amazing humans and have had some pretty epic adventures. The intention of Airey Bros Radio is to showcase these amazing people and the impact that they've had on them, and to share tips, tricks, and hacks so that you can win each day, every day.
You're listening to Airey Bros Radio. Be there or be square, because it's all killer, no filler.
Top to bottom, 65 is probably the weight to watch. Parker Keckheisen is the most underrated wrestler in the NCAA right now. He's got a gas tank, he's motivated, and nobody told him he's supposed to lose. I don't think the body was made to do 6 years of NCAA wrestling, especially in the Big Ten. I love Nicky Wolverines. Now, he has found a way to sculpt an NCAA win better than most. That said, you give him the meanest son of a bitch in the NCAA a reason to be more mean, sign me up for RBY Dayton every day. You know, sign me up for that. Shut up. That's good hard wrestling. I have no Taylor allegiance. You kiss my ass. ShopRite brand was just as good. This is Mike Mallon. You're listening to Airey Brothers NCAA Preview. He's like, would you have ever thought that you'd be psyched not to go to NCAA? Like, somebody's going to offer you to go to NCAAs for free, all expenses paid, and you're going to be like, no way, fuck no, you know? But yeah, it's brutal, dude. Because like, we get there an hour before the wrestling starts at 10 a.m. I'm probably not out of there till 1 o'clock in the morning, you know?
Every night.
There's nothing to eat at that time. So you eat garbage, you know what I mean? And like, you're just sitting there like a fucking mope, drinking a bottle of gas station wine and eating McDonald's in a fucking, in a shitty hotel room going, you know, and you're still amped, like, you know? And so yeah, it sucked. I'd rather be here.
That being said, are you working this weekend, or will you be able to take it all in and watch?
Watch party. Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
doing a watch party, which is so bananas to me that people watch that shit, but they do.
Well, you know, I think what a lot of people do is that they'll queue up the watch party and not necessarily watch you guys, but listen to it and then queue up the matches that follow along. Because that's what we used to do with Rogan with the Fight Companions, instead of like listening to the commentary without him.
Yeah, still boggles my mind. Still like me and Melissa look at the numbers. Like Melissa and I like make a joke out of it. She's like, people are paying to watch you watch something else. I'm like, huh? She's like, get the fuck out of here.
It was all a dream.
Welcome to the metaverse.
Like, wait, okay, you're right, cool. So it is what it is.
So what are you looking forward to this weekend? Obviously looking forward to not being there, but what are you looking forward? Who are your sleepers? What weight class intrigues you the most? What do you think that people should be paying attention to that they're not?
Okay, let's tackle a couple of those. Parker Keckheisen is the most underrated wrestler in the NCAA right now.
Well, wait.
184. You and I. Now, he's underrated because he doesn't wrestle for Iowa, Oklahoma State, or Penn State, right? But this kid is real. He's only got 2 losses his entire NCAA career. Both of them came to Airey Bros. I mean, this kid is as legit as it gets. And having him on the same side of the bracket as Miles Amin could be a major problem that Amin is not fucking ready for, you know? So I love the kid. I also, you know, maybe I'm a little bit of a homer too, because like I love those guys up at UNI. Like
Same here.
I love them to death. I think Roper is aces all right. You know, my son is really into it, and like, you know, he asks about my son. He watches Jack wrestle, you know, when he can on Flow. And so like maybe I'm a bit of a homer, right? But I really think this kid Keckheisen is special. I really, really do.
Is he a local guy to that area?
No, he's one of Askren's boys.
Okay.
He was
Right
a
on.
Wisconsin kid outside of Milwaukee somewhere. But yeah, he has like he was good in high school. He was good, but they have kind of ratcheted his ability to score points up by a million over at UNI. You know, of course he was an Aspen kid, so he knew how to scramble. He was good defensively and stuff like that. But this kid now has a serious offensive output. He's got a gas tank. He's motivated, and nobody told him he's supposed to lose. So I love the kid. I really do. And apparently, like he's like the super sweetest kid in the entire world too. Like so, it makes it easy to like these guys. You know.
Who
Go
do they
ahead.
have in the room? Who? I mean, I know Schwab's kind of a middleweight guy, and I think Roper's kind of a middleweight guy. Do they have a bigger guy in the room for those guys?
Two. Drew
Drew
Foster.
Foster, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. He won an NCAA title. Again, people forget Schwabi's doing incredible things at UNI. He's
Under
doing
the radar too.
so under the radar. And like there are so many different things that make this guy amazing. They have Taylor, by the way, to
Taylor
finish
Lewan,
that,
yeah.
Taylor Lewan, right? So Taylor Lewan, Drew Foster are putting it on this kid every day. So he's getting better and better and better. But to go on about Schwab, you know, he's doing so much with so little, and they never piss him off. They don't play the card of like, hey, come here, you'll be the biggest man on a small campus. They want guys that are really truly invested in the sport, and they want guys that are interested in learning how to become awesome people. And that's like as a dad, my son's like, where do you think I should go to school? I'm like, UNI. He's like, why? I'm like, because I don't care if you win at all. But they'll make you good. They'll make you really good as a human, number one, and then also as a wrestler, number two. He's like, but if Kale gives me money, I'm going. I'm like, okay, bud.
Well,
okay.
I would say first and foremost, besides if Kale gives you money or if Doug gives you money at UNI, isn't
What do
it
you want
like
to do?
whoever in Division I gives you the most money and they have what you're looking for in terms of your career or your future? Maybe that's the first choice, or no?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like I guess
he's all in right now.
He's all in.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I can't get him off the goddamn mats. I can't get him off the mat. I can't get him
Well,
off the mat.
he just needs a girlfriend, dog. That will change.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's got one. He's got one.
And that hasn't had the effect on him at all.
You ready? They won state titles on the same day.
Yes. You're fucked.
Insert Dreamweaver.
Right? Jeez, where were these wrestling girls when we were coming on, man?
She works her ass off. They have pull-up competitions. They have
I'm jealous.
dude, she's into they were actually her and her family were over the house last night. Super cool people. But yeah,
Outlaws too.
She does. She does, man. She's tougher than hell. But yeah, I can't get him off the match. It's like,
well, we'll get back to Jack. I want to get into that in detail, but let's
get back
to
he's the marker of how fucking old I am, by the way.
yeah, let me tell you something, Jim. Right now, he'd give you a little bit of a go. I'm not saying he'd take you down, but I'm telling you right now.
Good. I want him to, dude. I want him to be. Listen, you don't know how much it makes me happy, and I know we'll get back into it when I see he's winning states and that he loves the sport. Because, that's awesome.
He's into it. What else, Rick?
Well, I definitely want to invest some time into talking about the experiment for sure. But I definitely want to. Seriously though,
I can't believe that stuck. You're like the fourth person that has called him that by name, and I'm like, God damn it.
Well, even before he was on social media, I think one of the first times we talked, we kind of talked and you referenced it to that as an experiment because you had taken some very unique fatherly and coaching strategies in terms of like, well, you're not not going to compete. We're only going to do upper body or Greco. You're not allowed to touch the legs, like all these very cool things. So, as much as we can laugh at like a moniker that is stuck where we may not want it to have stuck, it has stuck, and it is like, he is an experiment, and we are all experiments of one in our own science project. So it's something I definitely want to revisit in this conversation, but I don't want to get too far away from the NCAA talk first. Outside of 184, which, I mean, who are you liking? Who are you? Which weight class is the most loaded in your opinion?
Most loaded is 65, and I don't think it's real close. I think top to bottom 65 is probably the weight to watch. I can't say that there's one person that sticks out, but I think what we're going to be watching at 165 this weekend is probably the future of 74K in this country. I think this kid Keegan O'Toole is really special. Again, another Aspen kid.
Another Aspen guy, yeah.
Yeah. I think now that said, I don't know if he's winning this thing. I think Evan Wick, it just might be his year, right? Like, I think Evan Wick taking himself out of Wisconsin and bring himself back to the West Coast was such an incredible idea. And it, number one, he wasn't a Bono guy, he was a Barry Davis guy. So that's number one. Number two, he gets to go be with his family, right? His younger brother's a 49-pounder for Cal Poly, and like they're big on family for sure. Number two, fuck Wisconsin winners. Like, I mean, like, let's call it what it is, right? SLO is pretty dope, dude, right? And so, he seems to have taken on this, player coach type of role over there, and like they're doing really good things. Like Cal Poly is doing really, really good things. So all these, and by the way, he's beaten the holy heck out of Shane Griffith, who won NCAA's last year, and he's beaten him 3 times this year, and it really hadn't been close. So it's like, it seems like it's kind of his year, but this kid O'Toole is really special, and if he loses this weekend, it'll probably, it's hard to say, of course, but it might be the last time he loses in college. Like, I really think he's that special. Particular matchups, I think 125 is really interesting.
Yeah.
I love Mickey Wolverines now. I love Vito, and I love Glory. I think that whoever comes, Glory, I feel so bad for him. Like, we did this. I followed him around for a full week. Go ahead. You're going to say something, Jim?
Well, I just want to ask you a question about Glory and Vito, but finish what you're going to say.
So I followed, because I really thought that Glory, I saw their last match at the dual meet, and I was like, oh, it's all Glory. Yeah, okay, fine. And so we chose to follow Glory around for the week leading up to EIWAs. And then I'm sitting there holding the camera. I'm like, oh, God damn it. Vito's a motherfucker. Like, this guy, Vito, he doesn't give a rip about my film. That's for sure.
So you, as someone who analyzes wrestling, you're watching these guys, you've been watching Vito since he's been a pup, right? Know him pretty well. What do you attribute that to? Who, both guys kind of blew each other out. Glory did it in the dual meet. Vito did it in the EIWAs. Who gets the edge going into that match? Who gets the nod? And what do you attribute to? Do they both have bad days?
I thought about that. I think about this so much. I think at the dual meet, the weight was a problem for Vito. I really, really do. Remember, he started the season at 33, and he's kind of been gradually bringing his body down to 25. 25 is not easy for him to make. 25 isn't easy for humans that are grown to make, period.
Hey, easy.
It's not. It's like
I eat filet mignon every night. I'll step on that scale right now.
But it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that this kid is as dedicated as he is. It's awesome. But I think in the dual meet, his body was still getting acclimated to 125. And when you take a kid like that and the further he gets from the scale, the better he is. And that's also true of Glory. That's also because Glory has a son of a gun of a time making 25. Okay. But I think Vito, all things equal, he might be, one of the better wrestlers on earth when he's right. Like it's so hard to understand how fast this kid is. And the fact that Thomas Gilman has been able to consistently slow him down and make him look like a kid is a testament to Gilman, not indicative of just how talented Vito is. This kid's really special. He's the fastest him and Nikki. This is why I'm so excited for it. Him and Nikki are so fast to a corner, like snap down, go get a leg, snap down, go get a leg, that it makes for just incredible flurries. Now, Nikki's not as much of a high output type of a wrestler, which kind of behooves him in folk style, right? Because you can not hide, but you know what I'm saying. You can kind of slow the pace in folk style and make it more of a grind for 7 minutes. But when the first starts to fly, give me Vito all day. Give me Vito all day. I love the kid. I think he's really special.
So my question is, one, has there been any history like through high school between Glory and Nikki? Have they wrestled? Did they cross paths at all while they were in high school together?
Nikki's older, bro.
Yeah.
You got to remember, these kids are on like their 5th, 6th year of eligibility.
True.
All of them. No, I don't think so. I don't think Pat was.
Okay.
I think Pat might have been lighter and younger.
Because I know him and Seabass cross paths, right?
I think so.
There might have been like some high school beef that carried over into the NCAA, or they made it sound like that in the interviews.
Yeah, maybe that's a type of match. I don't know who would do that.
My question was, my heartstrings are always pulling for Jersey, so but it's definitely not going to surprise me if Vito puts it on him.
So good.
But also on the flip side of that, is there going to be so much respect between the two that we almost get ourselves into like another Dayton situation where we're looking at like a 25-minute match or obviously overtime ride out type of scenario because they're so not willing to risk the engagement of giving up a position?
Yes, that could definitely be. I could definitely see that if it was Glory. But I think Vito is just so. Actually, Glory's really high output too, man. That kid puts points on the board. I don't know. I hope not, but Nikki has the ability to slow the pace on everyone. He really does. He's just he has found a way to sculpt an NCAA win better than most. Like he understands the formula that it takes to win an NCAA wrestling match. Could it be a snoozer? Yeah, I guess it could. But if Glory or Vito, whoever comes out of it, and like don't count Glory out.
No, for sure.
It's like he's really, really good.
I mean, that was the only time he looked human this year. He's been looking pretty good up until that point.
I know. It sucks, man. Sucks for my film, really.
Yeah, but that does it though, because that's wrestling, Mike. Like that is wrestling. Like you have all these big plans, and then someone fucks you up. Like that's the story.
That's the story. You're right. That's the way it happens. It happens.
All that said, and I know you're the expert, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I don't think anyone's scoring on Nikki this weekend. He's on point right now. I don't think anyone's fucking with him. That said, it's the NCAAs, so that's a bold prediction, but I'm impressed.
Dude, the kid's good. He's positionally really, really good.
Not one mistake.
No, that's the thing, right? Like, and you say that, and I'm assuming you're talking about on the mat itself, but the kid is so disciplined off the mat that like he lives at like 125. Like he lives there. You know, he does all the things right. You know, he says his prayers, eats his vitamins, you know, trains hard. So he does it the right way. Yeah, he's going to be really hard to beat. I just think that this kid Vito is just like he's turning, like he's getting, him and Yanni love to compete with one another. They love to like, hey, watch this, or hey, watch this. Hey, oh yeah, you're gonna go and score upon EOWH. Watch what I do to Pat Glory, number 2 guy in the country. Watch this shit. You know what I mean? Like they're like that, dude, and it's infectious, you know. And when you start competing with the people next to you, and then with yourself, oh boy, you know, I don't know. I also like, I'm not sold on all these 6-year seniors. I don't think the body was made to do 6 years of NCAA wrestling, especially in the Big Ten. I'm not 100% certain that all these 6-year seniors want to be out there. And I'm being very, very vague about that, but I think a lot of them are just like being propped up by coaches. Like, okay, I guess I'll take one for the team. Why again? I don't know. Okay. But give me a kid that's young and hungry and loves wrestling every day.
Do you think any of the 6, 7, 8-year guys, do you think the NIL has anything to do with that, or some of these guys capitalizing, maybe putting some scratch in their pocket before they go to the real world?
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm sure it was not cheap getting Nikki to Ann Arbor. How about that?
Yeah. I like Feller's take on that.
What did he say?
He said it's Russian mob money.
Well, they ain't doing anything with it. They ain't going to the World Championship, so
yeah. So this was he said that a while. This was a while ago, like at the beginning of the season, before anything crazy happened. Talking about saying your prayers and eating your vitamins. Does Dayton get it done this year?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think he's just like, you know, Kozak and I were talking about it today. One of the things that we kind of discounted last year was that, yeah, he was up at 33, but don't forget, in like 3 weeks after the NCAA tournament, he had to make $57K for the Olympic team trials.
Yep.
So it's like he's kind of got that looming in his head. And I think Dayton at 133 pounds, 61 kilos, I think it's the best version of Dayton that we can see. So it affects a ton, man. It affects your mental stability, right? Because you like, yeah, I gotta still cut weight even though I'm light, even though I'm like probably underweight. I still gotta cut weight. That sucks, dude. You know, it affects your mental, like, or your physical output, right? Oh man, do I have what it takes to go 7 minutes and fire off shot after shot? I don't know. So I think Dayton, I think it's his turn. I think it's his turn. And truthfully, sign me up for RBY Dayton every day. You know, sign me up for that. But that said, I don't think that there's anybody in the world that game plans better than Penn State. And by the way, they're lights out in the finals. They don't lose in the finals.
Right.
Tell me the last time a Penn State guy lost in the finals. I can't think.
David Taylor, Bubba Jenkins.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but do you see what I'm saying? Like
a long time ago.
You know, so it's like, you know, yeah, David's lost to Dake too, but dude, for the most part, they're lights out in the finals. They don't lose. They don't miss. So yeah, do I like Dayton? Yeah, I do. But you could throw that up in the air and it'll come down different every time.
Do you have any Darren Caldwells? Anyone that's just going to come out and dump someone on their head first round and they're in the tournament?
Watch Jake Woodley. Jake Woodley's a fun guy to watch. You know, he's probably not going to dump anybody on their head, but he can wrestle. And 97's kind of all over the road, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a clear standout, and 97's all over the place. So I like Woodley. Who else? I think there was a 41 that I liked a lot. But yeah, there's a couple of guys that
Lirez.
Oh yeah, Bua Lirez is great. Real Woods too, right? Like they're wrestling each other in the corners if they see it. So it's like Real Woods tough, dude. That kid's Izzy trained tough. You know, he's not a California kid. He's a Chicago kid. Yeah, there's a couple of them that I really like, but Woodley kind of sticks out to me.
Do you think there's going to be any kind of All-Americans from last year that aren't placing because last year's season was way different and it was a way different tournament? Like, do you think we're going to see some people have a reality check? You know, maybe a defend the champ, not even come close or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Shane Griffith doesn't have a great tournament. He's going to find himself out of the money.
He had the wrestling gods on his side last year.
For sure. Like, hey, congrats on bringing back 11 programs. You get 2-2 for your troubles this year.
And now you're going to get it pushed in a little bit this year.
Yeah, dude. It's not like he's a bad wrestler. It's just that 65 is such a bear that, yeah, I could see him losing to Hamidi. That kid's a beast.
Yeah, he's good.
You know, I could see him winning too, but like, holy shit, man, these kids are so good. Not having the Ivies last year was it was just weird. You know, you didn't think, because when we grew up, the Cornell's, Princeton, Harvard, they didn't make that big of an impact on the sport. But man, Cornell has a big impact on the sport now, man. They have the possibility, they have the chance, they have the prospect of having 2 4-timers.
Yeah.
You know, there's no one else that's been able to do that. That's 2 4-timers. That's a big deal. Oklahoma State can't say that. Iowa can't say that. Penn State can't say that. So, I mean, you know, Rob Cole did an amazing job building that to what it is. And I think, I don't think Gray's going to fuck it up. I just like, because you would have to really screw it up, right? Especially right now, you know.
Is that a situation though, like a catch-22, where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't? You know what I mean? Like when you take over a program of that's been built up to that level, and then it's like you continue with the progress, and it's like, well, yeah, that's what you were supposed to do. This is where you were set up with. And then on the flip side, if you have a down year, it's like, oh my God, you're the worst coach ever. You fucked everything up.
Yeah, it's it's tough in a number of different ways, but you got to give them 5 years no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's usually the rule of thumb with brand new coaches. Like you look at Damian Hahn, what he's been able to do at South Dakota State, which is incredible, by the way.
Yep.
That kid Clay Carlson is a tough kid that is well coached. Like I don't know that he was highly touted coming out of high school. If he was, I didn't know about him. But you look at and the idea is always, all right, Bono left that team and they were pretty good. You don't get more than 5 years to make sure they stay good. And he's doing a good job. So the idea is 5 years. And if it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, in the way of if nobody says anything, then you did a bang up job. That's it,
Yep.
right? Like there's not going to be any praise for Mike Gray. It'll be, yeah, you were supposed to do that, you know, which people your alumni not bitching is like, it's the best thing. That's like, you know, they're never going to pat you on the back. I remember Chris Harris. Chris Harris has been so awesome with me this whole season. He's been letting me kind of shadow Glory a little bit, even though I know it can be invasive to practices and stuff like that. But he told me one time when he said that he was at Lehigh for a while. And he said that the alumni there were so crazy. They took third in the NCAA. And at the banquet that night, they literally are holding the trophy. That night, one of the alumni was like, "Shelly, you think you can win it next year?" Like, hey man, let me sit and have a drink and just enjoy the fact that we took third in the country. So these alumni are and they're the people that drive these places. They really are. The Friedman Center. I was in their sauna last week.
I saw that.
Bro, it's the nicest sauna in the country. Really? You need Himalayan pink salt on the walls to take away the humidity? Really? Okay. It's 230. Well, it's 220 something degrees in there. It was quite warm. It was good.
Shit, I'm going to light and see if they got any positions for janitors.
Something. No, for real. The place is dope.
You need someone to hand out towels?
Yeah. So it's like, I text Gray that morning and I'm like, yo, because Spay and I didn't have a flight till later in the afternoon. And so I was like, yo, can we get some work done at the Friedman Center? He's like, yeah, no problem. My secretary will let you in. I'm like, we got our own office to work in. Like, there's like video monitors, there's high-speed Wi-Fi, I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is just a wrestling facility. This isn't like, they got to share it with volleyball or whatever, So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Is there a nicer one in the country, or is that the nicest?
Covelli Center's pretty dope, dude. Ohio
Yeah.
State. But I would actually contest that it's too much. I don't know how anybody gets stuff in that room. I don't know how anyone gets stuff. They all got iPads in their lockers. They got 5 mats, Jimmy. 5, like a football field, bro. I go to Tom, like I was there the day, like with a camera the day it opened. I go, Tom, be honest, bro. How do you run practice on 5 mats? Come on. Do you wear a mic? Like, how do you even how do you do it? He's like, I don't know. We just use 2 of them. I'm like, of course you do. Why do you have the other 3? For recruits.
Just in case.
So I want to add to that, as a guy who ran a club out of a sheet metal shop with the rain coming through, and you saw the insulation, and you just said, I don't know how anyone gets tough in that room. Is there something to that, or is that just us being Cro-Mags thinking like we need that Rocky 5 type setup, or do you need that kind of gritty?
No, I'm taking the Himalayan salt walls. You could have your fucking Clubber Lang in fucking Siberia.
No, I think there's definitely something to it. Because, first of all, I mentioned earlier that Doug Schwab, Lee Roper are doing more with less. And a big part of what they do is like they look around and say, okay, West Gym is old and falling apart and dilapidated, but it's ours. And we love it, and it's a part of us. I think when you have something that you're proud of, it makes for better training. These guys from UNI wrestle with a chip on their shoulder. They really, really do. These kids, that kid Drew Foster won an NCAA title a couple years back. I think it was 2019.
He beat Gabe Dean, right?
He beat Gabe Dean.
Yeah.
No, Max Dean.
Max, I'm sorry. Yeah, Max.
But no one talked about it, right? Like this kid wins an NCAA title, first one for Schwab, and no one's talking about it. They love it. Schwab and Roper eat that up because that's just fuel for them. See, nobody wants to come to our matches. Nobody from none of the national wrestling media, me included, come to our matches because it's in West Gym and they think it's one of the best places to watch a wrestling match I've ever been to. I saw them wrestle in Nebraska there. It was amazing, right? But then they're telling their kids, look, Flow Wrestling or whomever doesn't even give us play when we get a national champion. Go out there and prove that you deserve the play too. And they're doing it. And they're doing it. And they're doing it their own way in a very, very interesting way. and they're trying to follow all the rules. And they're trying to do what's right for the kids. And I can't say enough about the guys. I really can't.
Knowing, they say hindsight's 20/20 and all that jazz, but knowing what you know now, what you've seen, if you were, go back, put yourself in your senior body as if you were a senior graduating this year, where would you go?
Somewhere like, yeah, you and I, where they would probably give me money, right? Because I got offers. I got offers to Northern Illinois. There's one in PA that doesn't exist anymore. But the point is, I probably would have went to a smaller school, but I didn't.
Would it have been D1? Like, would it, knowing what you know now, would it be D1 or bust, or would it be, hey, give me that NIA cash, dog?
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely would have. Yeah, in fact, I talked to my son about that quite a bit. Like, take the cash, dude. Take the cash.
Paid.
Go get paid. Like, take the cash because, first of all, college itself is a scam. So it's like, go. Like it is. Let's call it what it is, right? Like especially like the way that most of these kids, these wrestlers are doing it. Like you're going to get a liberal arts degree. That's, and you're paying $60,000 a year for it. Man, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, go get the cash. NAIA has, there are teams, NAIA teams that have 22 scholarships, from what I understand. Yeah. That means third string guys are on money, like a lot of them. So yeah, I'd say go get the cash, man. I would definitely have considered that. Yeah, I would have gotten.
Yeah, and the other thing we've learned too with the people we've talked to and just traveling around the country and stuff, there's so many other majors and programs of study out there that we just didn't know existed. Like you could go up to the Colorado Mountain College and learn how to be a ski operations manager, or there's schools in Colorado or elsewhere where you could get a brewer's degree. Like so it comes down to like, what do you really want to do with your life? And like, let's find out that, obviously like, North Carolina's got some really cool colors and really badass singlets, but like at the end of the day, that's only going to be for 4 years. So like, where do you want to be in a city? Do you want it to be warm? Do you want it to be cold as shit? Like
that is the gift that keeps on giving, really.
Yeah. No doubt.
Well, not even the gift that keeps on giving, but I'm in debt because I did something I love, right? Yeah. Like that's the mind fuck of Division I wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's backwards for sure. It's backwards. So I don't know the answers to it right away. And not that it needs to be answered. It's just like, I think people are figuring it out now. The information is so readily available now that like I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how much money. Like I never knew. It's ridiculous.
And you said, that's what you said. It's a gift that keeps on giving. The last thing you want to do, if you can avoid it, is come out of school in 4 years and have to already be in the hole, like, here with your eyes at the top of the hole. Like, if you can avoid that, do it.
You're winning.
Life University's got some pretty dope singlets. And Atlanta's pretty warm.
It's pretty great. It's a pretty good place.
Yeah. I'm just curious if you don't have to say if you do or not, if you have any insight, but do you think, at 141, we see Nick Lee versus one of the 2 or the 3 seeds? Based on what we know from last week's injury, medical forfeit stuff.
I think Sebastian's Lee's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, man, he fucking looked good for the first 2 matches.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so, all right, man. Like, here's the deal. If there's a time to go be Jersey tough,
now's the time.
Let's go do it. Nothing would make me happier than if that kid won. Nothing. Right? Like, if there's
I feel like there's a hard butt coming up here right now.
Look, but you gotta be good to beat Jaden for sure, but you better be great to beat Nick Lee, because this kid is very talented, very athletic, very well trained. I don't know. I hope if we can get Sebastian at 80%, he's got a shot. I don't think he's at 80% though. I really don't. I hope
So-
he is. I don't think so.
We're on the topic of 141, and I have a wrestler to bring up. Not seated high,
I know,
but
his
his
name is
uncle
Chris.
wrestled at Middlesex County College and
Mhm.
brought his nephew to the wrestling club one day, and now he's wrestling at the University of Wisconsin. What's that like for you to see Joe Zargo as a true freshman up in the mix, and to hear Coach Bono always talking good about him?
Does he talk good about him? I don't
He
listen.
mentioned
to
him on the podcast, and he said he loved
Oh.
him. So yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't love Joseph, right? Like, I mean, he's the nicest boy in the world. How does it?
I
make
don't
you
know if
feel?
that's a good thing coming from Mike Powell saying you're a nice boy.
Or not. But he is though. Like, he's a kid that like he stays with me in the summer, and he trains at the club, and he's a great role model to my son, and he does everything right. You know, how does it make me feel? It makes me feel as a coach and former father figure to the kid. It makes me feel incredible. But it also kind of restores my faith in humanity that like the nice guys can succeed because he just continues to work. Look, he's outgunned out there. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, but he's tougher than shit and he keeps on working. So like if it's me being a dad, I can point to that kid all day. I can point to everything he's done. He was the little fluffy kid at 6 years old in my club that I didn't want to coach at all. But he just kept on showing up and he kept on showing up and he kept on showing up. And now he's, look, I understand that this is like a crazy, crazy long shot. But he's got Cole Matthews first round, okay? Which I think is a winnable match. Now, I know Cole Matthews is pretty good, but I think stylistically it works out, okay? And then quarterfinals, I think he would have Sebastian. What if Sebastian's that hurt? What if he's that hurt? And all of a sudden, Joseph gets on top of him. And by the way, Joseph is meaner than hell. Like he knows when he has a chance to turn the screws, he's gonna do it. Okay. Something, right? So like he's really mean on a wrestling mat. Like he does not let me forget the beatings that I put on him in high school. Okay. So maybe he's in the semifinals. I don't know. It's a super duper crazy long shot, but I choose to believe that it can definitely happen.
Right on. I always like a landmine and a good solid run at the NCAA tournament.
The best.
Obviously, Yanni is head and shoulders, pretty much. I mean, Austin Gomez had a pretty solid Big Ten. Tariq's been, he's been known to catch fire at the big dance and light some people up, and he's been pretty impressive in the ACC. Do you have a pick coming out of the bottom of the bracket there?
I love Gomez. I really, really do. Now, if anybody is going to throw a monkey wrench into that, it's going to be Tariq because he's just so savvy, right? Like he doesn't do anything flashy, right? Like he's positionally sound. He's offensive when he needs to be, and good luck scoring on him. But I think Austin Gomez is such a hard guy to game plan for because he can score in so many different positions that I don't see it going Tariq's way this time. Given like 3 cracks at the kid, I think he could probably beat him. And he might beat him, give him 10 cracks at the kid, he probably beats him more than he loses. But the first time you wrestle a kid like that and you feel those underhooks, right? Because it's different. You can game plan. But who the hell in the NC State room is going to do that? Maybe Tommy Gant. But who else is going to, jack him up like that and send him
Trent.
Yeah, but like that's like it's a different kind of like Trent and Hayden like that underhook, but they do it and they'll snap down. They do it and they'll go, single leg. They're not jacking you up and trying to end you.
When Austin does it, he wants to send you somewhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like Austin Gomez coming out of the bottom, but I think it's just not.
No. And then my last one would be are we looking you think a Deacon Carr at 157?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope. I love Josh Humphreys. Love
Oh
Josh
yeah. He's a beast.
I
It was
think
a tough
Carr's
one
gonna-
at the EIWA for him.
it was so ridiculous. I was sitting there going, shut up, stop. I disagreed with it. I could see it. The guy was actually in perfect position. The official was in perfect position to call that false. So if anyone listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, Josh Humphreys was on top, beating up on somebody. And then the guy kind of pulled him underneath. And I watched it a bunch. I think he kind of rolled across his back, but the referee called the defensive fall. And I don't know if I agree with it. That said, you given the meanest son of a bitch in the NCAA a reason to be more mean.
That one highlight.
Good luck. He's so
Pulling on your head and just mushing you a little bit.
I don't know if you saw the video that I posted on Instagram of him like raking the dude's face.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Guess what? Like all those people in the comments that are like, this is illegal. I know that's a cheap shot. Shut up. That's good wrestling.
They don't like tough wrestling.
Yeah. That's right. You guys don't like tough wrestling, but they just knock it off because I would train a kid to do that. I would, especially if he was a hammer on top. It's like, shut up. That's good hard wrestling. Like he's not trying to kill the kid. I love the kid. I really. Now that said, do I think he's got enough to beat David Carr? Probably not. Because I think David is like perfectly suited for a guy like that. The only question to me becomes, is the match going to be out of hand to when Josh Humphreys has choice? Because if he's within 4, choose top. Choose top. I don't give a shit, right? If you're within striking distance 1 turn, go top, but something tells me that square stance of his from the neutral, like from space, is going to be trouble because David Carr is going to go right through your head, right through your hands, right through your elbows, and he's going to grab both legs and sit you on your ass. So I love the kid Humphreys, I really do, but I think it's probably going to.
Who are you giving the nod in the team race to?
I think NCAA is infinitely different than Big Tens. I think it's going to be Penn State. It's such a smaller, condensed Big Ten, any conference tournament. You see a lot of teams go that do really well in the team race at the conference tournament, like Penn, right? Like Penn, they showed up. They had a great tournament. They qualified 7. They actually qualified more people to the NCAA tournament than Cornell did. And you go, oh, does that mean that next week or the 2 weeks that Penn's going to outplace somehow Cornell? No, because Yanni and Vito are going to probably be in the finals, if not top 3. So it's like the same thing can be said for the Big Ten and Michigan and Penn State and Iowa, I guess, respectively as well. I just think you look at that back end of Penn State's lineup, and they've got like 4 guys that are almost definitely going to make the finals, right? Like 74, 84, 97. So there's 3 guys that are almost a lock to make the finals. And like you start putting 3 guys at the top of the podium, 4 guys at the top of the podium, it becomes really hard to beat, right? I don't know that Michigan can do that. Maybe, right? Amin could make the finals. Nikki could make the finals. Michik has not looked as good at 41 as he had in the past. So it's like winning Big Tens is a lot different than winning the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's the real March Madness.
It's fun, man. Dude, you have no idea how happy I am that I'm going to be able to watch every single match. Think about it. I don't get to do that very often, The only reason I'm here is because my dad's in town. So I told them I wasn't going to NCAA's.
Right on.
Thank you for your time, brother. Always great seeing your face and catching up and talking some wrestling. It's been a minute since you and I have been able to talk some wrestling, and I know what you're talking about. So
That's good.
thanks to this guy I've been watching. We've been getting to a bunch of matches. We've gone to some school mine matches and some UNC matches this season. So it's good to watch some NCAA wrestling.
Good. I'm happy to have you back on the dark side.
Yeah, always.
Wait, Mike, before we get you out of here, I know what your answer is going to be, but we always like to weigh in on this because, we are Jersey boys through and through. Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Pork roll.
Attaboy.
Yeah, he's from Madison, bro.
He's right at that line, though.
Yeah, but
No, But listen, okay, what am I, a shill to big pork product? What am I, a corporate shill? No, pork roll. I'm not. I have no Taylor allegiance. You can kiss my ass. Strawberry Grandwich just as good.
Well, thanks
Good
again,
seeing you,
brothers.
Mike.
Good seeing you.
Have a good
Be in
weekend.
touch.
Be listening to you. We'll be one of those weirdos tuning in, watching wrestling.
Say something in the chat. Make sure to say something in the chat.
I will for sure. Later.